Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are running a few minutes behind, but that was because of the committee before us. It's not because of our inefficiencies. Mr. Clerk, if you would, please open the board so the members can log in. Go ahead and take the roll, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Chairman, you have 7 members present. You have a quorum.
Thank you for that. And with that, Representative Langford, I'm going to ask you to stand. All the members stand, and all the members in the audience, please stand as he does the prayer, and then we'll do the pledge. You're recognized.
If you'll bow with me. Father, we come to you today just grateful for another day. We thank you for the opportunity we have to come together and do the work that benefits all Tennesseans. We just ask that you bless each member present here, each member of the community, and be with us as we go through this committee doing our work and throughout the rest of our days. In your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As we're fixing to get started here, is there any personal orders? We do have a new Sergeant at Arms. Mr. Tyler Munez is our new Sergeant at Arms. Tyler, do you have anything you'd like to give us as far as words of wisdom today?
Yes, sir, I do. And I would like to give Kyle a shout out for helping me find these. Today's words of wisdom are brought to you by Robert Frost, a poet. By working 8 hours a day, you may eventually get to be boss and work 12 hours a day. Y'all have a great afternoon.
I do believe he would be an overachiever. That would be good boss material. Seeing that there are no personal matters, we have a couple of house cleaning issues we need to take care of. Item number 1, House Bill 2530 is asked to be enrolled 2 weeks, so without objection, roll 2 weeks. Item number 6, House Bill 1918 is asked to be rolled 2 weeks, so without objection, roll 2 weeks. House Bill number 11, item number 11, House Bill 2178 by Representative Lafferty is asked to be rolled 2 weeks, so without objection, roll 2 weeks. With that, we have House Bill 2390 by Representative Martin. No, item number 2 on our list. Do we have a motion? We have a motion and a second. You're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee. This specific bill came to me from Gibson County Utility District, and what we're doing is amending their private act component to mention that the subdivision does not prohibit a commissioner from serving for 2 or more consecutive terms in the county. And with that, I stand ready for a question.
Do we see any questions for Representative Martin? Seeing none, we'll be voting on sending House Bill 2390 to full committee. All those in favor, vote aye when the board opens. All those opposed, vote no. Mr. Clerk, open the board. Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 7 ayes and 0 nays.
House Bill 2390 on the full commerce.
Thank you, Committee and Chair.
Next on the list is item number 3, House Bill 1847. Chairman Butler, do we have a motion and a second? We have a motion. Yes, sir. You have a second. You are properly before the committee and are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this legislation is related to data centers, and I do want to preface before I get in.
Yes, there is an amendment on this.
That is correct.
Would you like to put the amendment on?
Yes, I would, Mr. Chairman.
The amendment, drafting code 013559.
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Can we get an motion on the amendment? We have a motion on the amendment. Can we get a second? We have a second on the amendment. Does this amendment make the bill?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it does.
We'll be voting on attaching amendment 013559 to the bill. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. The ayes have it. The amendment's been put on the bill. You're recognized on the bill as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I do want to preface this. This is related to data centers. And we have 3 data centers that are going in Tennessee right now, and all of those have been very good actors. And this bill is not to be against data centers. We want data centers in Tennessee. We want the technology. And so what this legislation does is it just puts a few guardrails on those data centers and requires them to cover the infrastructure cost. Now, the 3 data centers that are currently slated to go in Tennessee are already doing that. So this is not a reactive bill. This is a proactive bill. And in working with all of the folks involved here, we have come up with working with electric cooperatives and TVA. TVA, if you know, met last week and will be possibly proposing a data center electrical rate, which would tie into this legislation. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll be glad to answer any questions before I continue.
Chairman Brigham, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Maybe I'm missing something, but I thought the amendment downsized this bill strictly to deal with data centers being responsible for their infrastructure. Am I missing something?
Representative Butler, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's what this bill does. It just puts guardrails around data centers and then providing their own infrastructure. The bill is really that simple.
Representative Brigham.
Just follow up. So it has nothing to do with rate setting or worrying about utility rates or anything like that?
Representative Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for those questions, Chairman. That we amended that information out, the rates and so forth. And really, the reason we took all that out is that's really already outlined by TVA, and it was really unnecessary and redundant. And so that's the reason we amended that out. And so there's some other mandatory language in the amendment that allows some investors to invest in a data center. The bill requires the data center to cover their infrastructure cost. But it also allows for investors to invest in that into a data center.
Chairman Vaughn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And to the sponsor, we've had several conversations about this. One of my concerns about this bill is the broad discussion of infrastructure when it relates to a data center. Because many times in development projects, there are the proportionality of improvements required is not solely based upon the newest use, such as a city may be looking at putting in a new substation, and that substation is to service 80% of people other than the data center, or that a bridge is sized to carry traffic loads that are beyond what the employee count is for the data center. And so what I don't want us to get into is that we handcuff local officials who are trying to make a decision about how to make sure that improvements are there to accommodate the data center, that we trip them up with regards to language of, hey, you can't do that because it's for the data center, when maybe 80% of that improvement is for the general public. And so that's one of my concerns with the bill as it stands today, but we've talked about that in the past.
Representative Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for those comments. And I wanted to have the discussion today, but in order to address your concerns that we've talked about, I would request that this bill re-rolled to the next available calendar to address those concerns and to have the discussion today. I think we're close. We have a good bill, and so we want to make it a great bill. And with that, I would request that we roll it to the next available calendar to do that.
Before we do that, Chairman Lafferty, I believe you have a question.
Thank you, Chairman. In an effort to, while you're taking a closer look, I guess, just something occurred to me. We recruit companies a lot of times into the state from other areas, and we offer economic incentives to do so. How would those economic incentives come into play in a situation like this? If the state and not a local utility was offering incentives?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's one of the things Chairman Vaughn and I have spoken about, making sure that we have avenues if that was the case, and there was some monies available potentially to invest, not necessarily directly into a data center, but if we had, for example, to expand on that, if we had a industrial park that was say 100 acres and there was a data center going to go in there as one of 10 businesses, for example, and they were going to take 10 acres, we don't want to tailor this to where they could not use grant money or some type of that type of economic development funding to build the industrial park, even though a data center was going to be going in there. So we're going to work on some language to make sure that we're not tying our hands or handcuffing ourselves so that we couldn't take advantage of some of that type of money.
Thanks, sponsor. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Chairman Vaughn, we'll come back to you. I didn't let you finish a while ago. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. I just wanted to let the committee know that the sponsor is tackling a big, hairy issue here in an effort to put some teeth into legislation so that mistakes aren't made that compromise the normal folks, normal rate paying folks of
Absolutely.
utilities. And so we understand his desire to do that. And so in order to strike a good balance, we've been trying to go through a lot of unintended consequences of a bill. And I'll have to compliment the sponsor. He's been very receptive to that and open. And so I think that we ought to be able to work something out here as long as we put our heads to it in the next coming couple of weeks.
Representative Butler, you
Thank
recognize.
you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the comments. And I think it is, we don't want to have any unintended consequences that handicap us or cripple us to be able to accommodate some of the needs to address your question, Chairman. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll relinquish.
Leader Camper, you recognize.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative, for the bill. I have a similar bill, I believe. I was waiting to see what your amendment looked like, to see where our similarities are. And maybe we could meet and talk about some of the components of the bill that I have that may address some of the issues that the chairman is talking about. And, maybe come up with a real good bipartisan piece of legislation that we all can support, because like you said, we want these data centers in our community, but we want to make sure it's right. We want to get ahead of any potential problems we may have, or questions I've been getting about, who's going to own the infrastructure. If we were to get an incentive from the state and the company that receives the incentive eventually go away, do they still own it? Do we got to buy it back? And questions like that in terms of building the infrastructure. So I do think we need to get it right. So I would hope that you'd be open to you and I meeting and sitting down and trying to compare some notes and see where we can come together. I mean, I have no problem pulling my bill or anything like that.
Representative Butler, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Absolutely, Chairman. I would love to work with you, and I would hope this bill would be supported bipartisanly, because really the objective here is to protect our ratepayers.
Right.
We don't want what's happened in some other states where data centers have come in and rates have gone up $20 or $30 a month. I want to make sure we're protecting, especially our senior citizen population, to protect their monthly bills. But at the same time, I don't want to tie our hands to where we can offer a data center a place to come, an industrial park that's being developed for multiple places. So I think the chairman over here worded it right. It's a big, hairy issue. We're trying to work our way through that.
Thank you,
Leader Camper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Chairman Butler. I appreciate it.
Thank you for that. I don't know if we have any other questions. I just want to add to the fact that there's a lot of struggling communities, and I've got one of the counties in my district that would love to have something like this that doesn't require a lot of manpower, a lot of employment, but it would bring a lot of revenue as far as the tax base. So there's some counties out there that could benefit greatly from that. And that's whenever the compromise is being worked out, I wish they would be considered in that compromise. But your request a while ago to roll this bill 2 weeks, we will try our best to oblige you to that. So without objection, we'll be rolling House Bill 1847 to the next available spot, which will be 2 weeks. Without objection, roll.
Thank you, committee and chairman.
Thank you. Item number 4 on our list is House Bill 2159. Chairman Wright. We have a motion and we have a second. You are properly before the committee. You do not have an amendment, do you?
I do not have an amendment.
You are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. This House Bill 2159 is to try to clarify a little bit of the status of an unclaimed vehicle as relates to contract law and vehicle repair. I'm going to give a process, a problem, and a proposal. A process may be that a vehicle is damaged or is inoperable and may be taken to a vehicle repair shop in the middle of the night and dropped off. In which instance, there is no signed contract about what's going to take place. This is to clarify the status of that vehicle and give the owner, where a vehicle may be abandoned, the ability, the garage keeper, to provide the Department of Revenue with documentation about the owner and the good faith effort included in trying to move the unclaimed vehicle. And with that, I'll stand for questions.
Does anyone have any questions for the sponsor? Seeing no questions, we'll be voting on sending House Bill 2159 on to full committee. All those in favor vote aye whenever the board opens. All those opposed vote no. Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 9 ayes and 0 nays.
House Bill 2159 on to full committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee, and I appreciate being able to use the back door.
Come back often. Next on our list is item number 5, House Bill 846. Representative Renaud. You have an amendment.
I do.
Can we get a motion on the bill first? We have a motion? We have a second? Do you want to apply the amendment to the
Yes.
bill?
Yes,
Does
please.
the amendment make the bill?
It does. But, rewrites the bill.
Okay, can we get a motion on the amendment? Motion. Well, let's make sure we got the right amendment. 012646?
Correct.
Have a motion on the amendment and a second. All those in favor of putting this amendment on the House Bill 846, say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment has been put on the bill. You are recognized on the bill as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee, this bill came about as a direct situation in my district. I have a UTC student who finished school, engineering degree, and wanted to get his professional engineering license. But when he went to take the test, the testing center required a biometric palm scan, to which he has a very specific religious, religious and privacy objection to. So he was unable to take the test, and therefore is going to be prohibiting him in his career to move forward. So this bill, what I'm asking for us to do is to be able to direct the contractors involved in this to require to give require them to give or get informed consent to obtain biometrics. But then if someone refuses or does not want to, that they provide an opt-out process. The bill recognizes that biometrics include everything from your driver's license to your, it could be biometric fingerprints or ink fingerprints. It could be the digital scans or retina scans, voice prints, all of that. But it does allow for the government ID and fingerprints, which has been a long-standing tradition used in security and confirming identity. So I just want to be clear that this does not ban biometrics. What I think we need to do is to ensure that no Tennessean is forced to surrender immutable biological data that to a private entity without informed consent or a meaningful alternative. There are some issues that came up since I spoke to many of you about the bill that I just want to address. And I'll say that the lobbyist with Pearson we've talked and we're trying to figure out a solution to this, but I've worked on this last year and didn't get to one. This is why I'm bringing this forward this year, because I really like for my constituent to be able to get his professional engineering license. But I do want to point out some data sovereignty and security issues regarding this. Pearson View, the testing center involved, is ultimately owned by a foreign-based parent corporation. So while they operate through a U.S. subsidiary, their biometric identifiers of our future professionals, both in healthcare, education, and in engineering architecture, that data is going to potentially some other place. And to tag onto that, I would like to mention their track record. In 2018, there was a breach where Pearson was required to pay $1 million to the SEC for misleading investors about a 2018 cyber breach. They downplayed that theft of millions of student records until the FBI had to notify them of that breach. So third, I'm being told that the scans are required not just for testing security or for efficiency of the process of getting folks in and out. If they leave the room, that biometric scan is meant for them to quickly be able to re-enter the room, confirming that is the person that left the room. But there's evidence that shows that alternatives do exist to this process. They already accommodate individuals who cannot provide a palm scan due to injury, disability, or a medical condition. So that means that they already have some procedure or process to provide an alternative method for someone who doesn't have a hand or is injured. So I believe that we should be able to somehow ask this testing center to provide an alternative for someone who objects for privacy or religious reasons. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Representative Renaud, we have someone on our list, Mr. Josh Love. Is he your constituent?
Yes,
Is he here with us?
yes.
Would you'd like to bring him forth?
Sure.
So we'll go out of session without objection to hear from Mr. Love. If you would, just sit there. We'll control the mic. Sit down there. You got 3 minutes to make an opening statement. Just please state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Hopefully I don't take that long. Y'all seem to move pretty quick. My name is Josh Love. I'm from Signal Mountain, Tennessee. And I don't know. I just got my degree at 40. I mean, obviously I'm not a young guy getting a degree, but I spent my 20s in the utility industry, and I really enjoyed it and going back. And I don't know. I just object to, doing palm scans and stuff, I mean, it's just a non-starter for me. And even more than that, my privacy, like, it's really hard in 2026 to like have a small digital footprint. And, I mean, I don't know. I got scam artists calling me up and stuff. They'd like know my credit card number and all this stuff, my social. And I'm just trying to keep all that out of the web. And I don't know. That's really all I got. That's what I want to say. Thanks.
Well, thank you for being here. Do we have anyone have any questions? I want to commend you for getting your degree at 40, and the haircut's what does it for me. I really appreciate that.
We got the same barber, obviously.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Love, for being here.
Thanks, sir.
Without objection, we'll go back into session. Representative Renaud, you are recognized.
I'll be glad to take any questions if there are any questions about or concerns that may have come up.
Chairman Clemens, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I'm understanding this right, fingerprints, you still want fingerprints to be an option. And so my question there is what's the distinction between the fingerprints and the palm? Because all they do is take your fingerprints and put them into the system. And if they take your palm, it's essentially the same data. So can you clarify that distinction for me?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's just that fingerprints have been a long accepted standard for security identification. To add additional biometrics to it, just a lot of people have issues with for religious reasons and additional privacy reasons. You can't get a new palm print. You can't get a new retina if, as these things kind of get progressive and the things that people want to collect. It's unsettling for a lot of people.
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, I mean, that's the thing. I was trying to get an idea of the distinction between your fingerprint and your palm. I mean, that's pretty much what they're going after there. And that goes into the same information system. Do we have any knowledge as to what corporations are keeping that fingerprint data? Because I've given my fingerprint to take, boards and exams. And so you had mentioned that one got breached and it was a foreign owned. Do we know what company is used for fingerprints? Is it domestically owned or foreign owned?
You're recognized.
I don't know specifically your question. I can't answer it. I can answer that in 2018 that this company in question, the testing center, did have a data breach and lost millions of student records, or there was some sort of cyber breach on that, and did have to pay $1 million to it. The OPM, the Office of Personnel Management, the federal government, not that long ago, also had 21 million people's fingerprints stolen. So to give away more information I think is the concern for a lot of folks, that fingerprints have been a longstanding measure of identification. I certainly understand why they want to do this, and for whenever you're taking the licensing, or certainly even more so potentially in healthcare because you handle narcotics. We want to, get that kind of information. So if there is an issue later, you can match those up. Just moving the biometrics, moving that bar further down the line it's a concern for a lot of folks from a privacy perspective.
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And finally, I know some of these boards and certification exams are nationally run. So the state of Tennessee or a Tennessee agency doesn't necessarily conduct them. So, or does this present any issues for if somebody wants to take a national board of exam of an entity outside of this state? Do we have any control over that? Do you have any concerns about this legislation impacting that?
You're recognized.
That is a concern that was brought to me. I will just say there's no federal statute requiring biometric scans for professional testing, absolutely none. And without a federal mandate, states retain the full authority under the 10th Amendment to regulate in this area. So I personally do not see why we would not be able to do this. Professional licensing is not a federal function. It is a core sovereign power reserved to the states. They work under our purview, not us for them.
Chairman Vaughn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And when the member brought this bill to me originally, I thought, heck yeah, I don't have to give my palm print before I have to take the hardest test of my life. And I have to say to the gentleman from UTC, that's a couple of hard ones. That second one is really hard. I actually hold this license that he's wanting to get. I'm a professional engineer, and so you take it in 2 phases. And the test is administered while it may be Pearson, but they're actually performing services for the National Council of Engineering Examiners. And so that organization is the one that sets the standards for the licensure in the states. They also bring about the ability for reciprocity for me to take my license and be licensed in surrounding states. And so I think this is a little bit, it's a noble cause, but I think it's misguided when directed towards the Architecture and Engineering and Land Surveying Board, because we're telling them, this bill would tell them you can't use this, but it's not addressing the fact that we are a portion of this compact that uses NCEES services. So we would need to stand up our own testing as well as have a license which may or may not be recognized in other states. And I don't think that a fiscal note contemplates that type of level of effort that it would take to redo our entire testing system. And so that's my concern with this bill. I can't support it because of that. I support the fact somebody not wanting to get biometric. I mean, I gave them my driver's license umpteen thousand years ago when I was lucky enough to pass this thing. But so I see that issue, but I'm way more concerned about what it's going to do to professional licensure in this state, as well as the reciprocity for those holding that license.
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the comment. I hear what you're saying. That again, that is a concern that was brought up. I would probably, I would like to say that I feel like, and I could be wrong, I feel like that these organizations, national, are really associations of state boards, is what I understand it, and they're not higher authorities than them. And so they exist to serve the states, not the other way around. We are, as a state, we are not a subsidiary of the private credentialing groups. And this doesn't say that they can't do a palm scan. We are asking for them to provide an opt-out, and they can still ask for government ID and the standard of fingerprints that has been used for a long time. One of the objections or concerns the reason why they do that, reasons that they do this is they said because of efficiency. So if someone walks out of the room, they can easily come back in by doing the scan. It's really not, it's not going to cost them more money to let the person show their 2 forms of ID and do their signature again. And if they have to do fingerprints, then they can do that. To provide some sort of opt-out is what we're asking for. And again, this company actually does offer on their website an accommodations for someone who does not have a hand or who has an injury. So if they're already providing an opt-out process for someone who already cannot use their hand for whatever reason, then I can't see why we can't also ask for an opt-out process for someone who has a religious or privacy exemption, which is already protected. We do honor religious exemptions for a lot of different things. And in Tennessee code, we also have a Tennessee Information Protection Act, which is our existing privacy framework. So in our law, we do have some recognition of that being a priority.
I heard this. Go ahead, Mr. Chairman. You're recognized.
Just to finish up, then that sounds like that needs to be something that works through with the AE board. and petitioning their council, I don't think this sets up the necessity for us to change a law which could damage the reciprocity of the tens of thousands of license holders that have already gone through the process. And so I'm not going to be supporting this bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Go ahead. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just close with, last year when I filed the caption on this, we did reach out to Pearson. We reached out to the lobbyists to ask for assistance on this, that my preference would be to not create a law to do this. It would be to work a solution out, and we just didn't come to that. So this is why I put forward this legislation this year.
So let's try to do this then, Representative Rideau. We've got some more time in front of us. So let's go ahead if we can, and let's roll this bill a few weeks. We understand everything's been aired out here today. Everyone knows where everyone stands, and see if you can reach out with Pearson and find some type of compromise. Maybe they, without even having to run legislation, they understand what you need. We understand the concern. So would you be amenable to that?
Absolutely.
So how long would you like to roll it?
I think the next calendar will be fine because that's 2 weeks, right? So hopefully we'll get some answers in that time frame.
So we will be rolling House Bill 846 without objection, 2 weeks.
Thank you, Chairman of the Committee.
Item number 6 has already been rolled 2 weeks. So we have item number 7, House Bill 475 by Chairman Vaughn. We have a motion. We have a motion and a second. You're properly before the committee, Chairman Vaughn. There is an amendment on this. Do you have would you like to file this amendment? Would you like to amend the bill with this amendment? There we go.
That's news to me. No, just kidding, Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir. If we could put amendment 012624 on there, it does make the bill.
It does make the bill. So we get a motion on the amendment. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of putting this amendment on the bill, say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? The ayes have it. The bill has been amended, and you are recognized on the bill as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill updates Tennessee franchise laws governing the relationship between car dealers and automakers. That's an evolving landscape, and we're keeping up with what's occurring across the country. And the representatives of the dealers as well as the manufacturers have worked on this amendment and gotten much of it worked out. It updates the state's franchise laws to what is already general practice. Car manufacturers should provide fair treatment when reviewing a dealer's sales and service performance and how they allocate the cars to the dealers. It also addresses performance standards with regards to renovation of facilities. And with that, sir, I'm happy to take any questions, Mr.
Do we
Chairman.
have any questions of the sponsor? We do have someone on the list, but I don't see any reason to bring them up to testify. Mr. Slattery is on the list.
I think he's resting comfortably.
Wonderful. Seeing no questions, we'll be voting on sending House Bill 475 on the full committee. All those in favor vote yes when the board opens. All those opposed vote no. Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 10 ayes and 0 nays.
Thank you. House Bill 475 on the full commerce. Next on our list is item number 8, House Bill 1916 by former Chairman Boyd. You have a motion and a second. You are properly before the committee. I see no amendments. Recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee members, House Bill 1916 would exempt brokers and affiliate brokers that are licensed under the Tennessee Real Estate Brokers License Act from having to take short-term rental training, or otherwise known as vacation lodging services training. And that's simply what it does, Mr. Chairman.
Question being called on the bill. We'll be voting on sending House Bill 1916 to the full committee. All those in favor vote yes when the board opens. All those opposed vote no. Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 10 ayes and 0 nays.
House Bill 1916 on to full commerce. Next on our list is item number 9, House Bill 1709. Leader Cochran. We have a motion. We have a second. We have a second.
Heavens.
You are properly before the committee, Leader Cochran.
Thank
And
you.
recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 1709 requires lawful status for the numerous licensed professions under the state of Tennessee. So, for example, nurses, teachers, contractors, funeral directors, embalmers. So anything, any profession that the state license, this would require proof of legal status.
Anyone have any questions of the sponsor? Chairman Lafferty, you are recognized.
Sorry, Chairman. Quick question. It prompted me a little earlier. We've got compacts in some of these places with other states. Does this foresee those issues, people coming here? Will we re-verify?
You're recognized.
Thank you for the question. It sure does. So upon renewal of those, they would have to provide some proof of lawful status. If it is even maybe, let's say, a new application where, like you said, where if it's from a state where we have reciprocity, before we acknowledge that full reciprocity, you've got to show if your state, well, let's say that the state where you were initially approved for that license, if they don't require proof of lawful residency before we acknowledge that reciprocity, we will require that proof.
Thanks, sir. Thank you, Chairman.
Any other questions? Oh, Chairman Clements, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Who's going to be responsible for verifying this?
Leader, you're recognized.
Thank you. I appreciate the question. So that will be, obviously each one of these professions, they have their own boards that govern them, right? That issue the licenses, that are in charge of the renewals, making sure that you get the proper continuing education. And they're the ones that ultimately verify your documents now, right? Whatever documents that are required for your respective profession. So those boards would come up with which documents they require to prove lawful residency.
Chairman Clements, you're recognized.
So there's not even going to be a standardized document or proof of residency. And I don't know how there's not a fiscal note on this, considering the state of Tennessee requires self-sufficiency in most of these boards. Are they going to increase fees for the rest of their existing members to pay for these verifications?
You're recognized, Leader.
Thank you, Chairman. There's no additional cost on the state. It's just, if you want a license, this is the document you're going to produce. And again, our boards are already tasked with checking those documents. It's, when they see the additional document proving your legal residence, that again, these processes are already in place. There's not an extra process.
Chairman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, if the process is already in place, then what's the necessity for this legislation?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When I say the process is in place, I mean the process of confirming documents to make sure that you have the proper degrees, the proper continuing education, to make sure you don't have a criminal record, which, by the way, being an illegal immigrant would be a crime. The boards are already checking all these things to make sure you meet the requirements to hold licensure in the state of Tennessee. This would be one additional thing that they check for to ensure that you can hold a license in the state of Tennessee.
Yes, sir. You're recognized, Chairman Clements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, immigration status is not actually a crime in this country. So I think that's a misstatement. And what I'm seeing here is each of these boards is going to have to verify this. That's going to require verifying somebody's degree, verifying somebody's, if they passed a board is one thing, verifying the immigration status is a whole nother thing that requires additional costs. So what I think we're doing here, for some unknown reason, is passing on additional cost to current members of these professions. Beekeepers, for some reason, livestock dealers, public weighers, public weighmaster. So the people who are already members of these boards are going to carry these additional costs to pay additional fees to these boards, because they're going to incur additional costs because they're required by the state of Tennessee to be self-sufficient financially. So I really hate this additional cost we're putting on the back of working families in the state of Tennessee for no reason, from what I can hear so far. And again, I would just point out that immigration status is not actually a crime in this country, criminally. So thank you for
Leader Cochran, you're recognized.
Yeah, while I would disagree on that final point, I guess that's not germane to this current bill. But again, to provide a birth certificate, green card, or visa doesn't cost any extra money. The license holder, if they are a legal resident of this country, they already have those documents, and we already have the boards and the staff in place to check those documents. So there's no additional cost, but thank you.
Well, Chairman, final follow-up, Chairman Clemens.
Yeah, I would just take issue with that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do believe that there are additional costs to that. Acquiring a duplicate birth certificate, acquiring a duplicate, any of those things, just to be a beekeeper in the state of Tennessee is an additional cost on somebody who wants to work in this state. We continue to put these hurdles in place for people who just want to earn a living, and I think it's going a bit far. And for there to be no consistency. So, you can provide a birth certificate to be a court reporter or a green card to be a beekeeper. We're not even providing any consistency or standard across the board. So that creates a whole nother issue, patchwork of administrative bureaucracy. So in addition to the additional cost on working families, the people who are professionals in this state, and the additional cost necessary to even get licensed, I object to this legislation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Leader Cochran.
That's all. Thanks.
Okay. Chairman Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to call the question on this wonderful bill.
Chairman Boyd calls question. Any objection to calling the question? Seeing none, we'll be voting on sending House Bill 1709 to full commerce. All those in favor vote yes. All those opposed vote no. Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 7 ayes and 2 nays.
House Bill 1709 on to full commerce. Number 10 on our list is House Bill 1673 by Chairman Bricken. We have a motion. Can I get a motion? We got a motion and we've got a second. You are properly before the committee. There is an amendment.
There is an amendment that makes the bill, Mr. Chairman, is 013215.
That's what I have as well. Can we get a motion on the amendment and a second? Motion. We have a motion and a second on the amendment. All those in favor of putting this amendment on House Bill 1673, say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The bill has been amended and you're recognized on the bill as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're going to end this calendar with a winner. This bill comes from the controllers of our Treasury. It is a cleanup bill, and just the background on it. In 3 years ago, in 2023, we passed legislation that combined the Utility Management Review Board and the Water and Wastewater Financing Board to create the Tennessee Board of Utility Regulations that we all well known as TBOR. The board has been operating there several years, and during that time, they've discovered basically some housekeeping issues that needed cleaning up, dealing with education requirements, and things like that of their board members, and some streamlining consolidation. So that is what the bill excitingly does, and I'm open for questions.
Do we have any questions, Chairman Bricken? Seeing no questions, we are voting on sending House Bill 1673 on a full committee. All those in favor vote yes when the board opens. All those opposed vote no. Open the board. Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 9 ayes and 0 nays.
House Bill 1673 on the full committee. And the last bill on the calendar is mine. Item number 11, we have rolled 2 weeks, so the last bill on the calendar would be my bill.
Chairman Grills, you're recognized on, House Bill 1982. Have I heard a motion? No motion, second. I heard a motion with emotion as well as a second. Sir, you're in proper position. Tell us about 1982.
Can I call a question on this bill? This bill is just decreasing the age from 18 down to 16 for a bid calling license. It's essentially the 4-H goat selling license.
All righty. We've heard the discussion. Chairman Clemens, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Chairman. I was going to ask you how you managed to pass that engineering exam, but I'll ask the sponsor.
They didn't have biometrics.
That was my punchline. All right. A question. I honestly don't know the answer to this. And so when you're calling a bid in an auction, and you determine that the bid that's the final bid, does that create a contract, effectively create a contract? And I ask that because minors aren't allowed to enter into the contracts. And so I'm curious of what the privity is there and who are the parties to the contract. That was my only concern. I apologize.
Mr. Sponsor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And that would be my understanding, that it would be a contract, but I'm not completely sure. Ms. Russell's back there with the Auctioneers Association. She could probably answer that question better than I could if we need a hard answer on that.
Would
She
you
don't-
approach the, Ms. Russell, would you approach the bench?
They might be able to.
Legal possibly could answer that
I mean,
question.
I would, pardon me, but since I'm acting chairman, I'm just going to go wild up here. It would seem like the contract would be between the offerer and the seller, not the auctioneer. I would think that would be, that's this amateur lawyers. But of course, I didn't pass that exam.
We didn't have biometrics either.
Let's go out of session and hear from Miss Addison Russell from the Tennessee Auctioneers Association. We're out of session.
Thank you. Addison Russell on behalf of Tennessee Auctioneers Association. I think that's a very good question, Chairman Clemens, that you asked. And it does, as you said, when an auctioneer says sold, does create a contract. And that is why the education is important, that we're maintaining that piece. They do have to take 16 hours of education to become a bid caller. And as part of that education, you learn about the Uniform Commercial Code, which governs auctions. I think Chairman Vaughn is correct that it would be my understanding, it's been a while since I've been knee deep in the Uniform Commercial Code, but that the contract is created between the buyer and the seller, and the auctioneer is merely a facilitator of that. We did work with the Department of Commerce and Insurance on the language, and they felt comfortable with the lowering of the age to 16.
Chairman Clemens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, and I understand that this is limited probably to 4-H. I mean, this may be the sole purpose for it. But generally, if you have an auction, it's almost a consignment where the auctioneer sometimes has a contract with the seller because they're going to get a commission from that sale. And so they've got their own contract, which a 16-year-old couldn't legally enter into with the person who's selling their good, livestock, whatever. And then they're facilitating a contract between that purchaser and them because they've taken ownership of that before that transaction then exists with the other. So I think there's multiple parties, different privity arrangements here, or relationships rather. And that's my concern. But again, I haven't read the UCC in detail in a long time myself either, but and I certainly have never dealt with a situation involving auctioneers, but that is my concern. I just want to make sure we get that on the record, and not that I have any objection to the bill, but I just don't want to overstep our legality here.
Ms. Russell.
Thank you for that question. And what's important about the bid caller license, it's the most limited license offered by the Auctioneer Commission, and a bid caller can merely solicit bids. They do not have the authority from state law to enter into contracts, so such as listing agreements. And a bid caller must work under a fully licensed auctioneer. So the contract between the seller and the auctioneer would be with someone over the age of 18 that holds that full license. But a 16-year-old could come and call the bids, but they cannot hold money. They cannot enter into listing agreements or contracts for the sale of goods. So they're working under someone that is of age and has the ability to enter into contracts.
Chairman Clemens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So they're merely acting as an agent for an adult in this capacity. And we're comfortable with the legislation makes that clear enough. Is that right? Yes or no?
Chairman Clemens, while we were out of session, Ms. Lovin Middleton Dunn will take care of us.
Lovin Crutchfield, Office of Legal
sorry,
Services. So under the sales portion of the UCC, under specifically section 47-2-328 subdivision 4, it talks about the auctioneer knowingly receiving a bid on the seller's behalf. So that would kind of be my understanding, that the auctioneer is the person that is receiving the bid and not necessarily entering into or sort of creating the contract. Like the bid caller wouldn't be, I don't think, creating it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, yeah, so my question was more to that contract with the seller. If a person being an auctioneer or any capacity was taking a commission, that requires a separate agreement, not necessarily that sales transaction, but the agreement to act on behalf of the seller to get the best price in good faith for that seller. And so, but she says that they're merely acting as an agent for an actual adult, which I think may get us over that hurdle. But I just want to make sure the language is clear enough to clear us of any challenges there to accomplish what we want for 4-H and whoever's doing this.
All right, thank you, Chairman Clemens, and we've got 2 weeks. We will dive into that murky water to make sure that we are clear in what all of us are, I believe, are wanting to do. And with that, we are going to go back into session unless there's, Chairman Powers, do you have a question for Ms. Russell?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And to Ms. Russell, are there any auctioneers in your family that that you have knowledge of that has led you to your knowledge of this particular subject?
Ms. Russell?
I thank you for the question. I do know a few auctioneers. Yes. I come from a large auction family. Did go to auction school myself. So fun fact of the day. I did.
Chairman
Thank
Powers.
you. And I think you were licensed too at one time, right? Exactly. So when I went through auctioneer school, and going back to what Representative Clemens was talking about, that when you do say sold, that does firm up that contract. So that's not a problem really as far as whatever age they might be. I mean, could they even be do they do this in any other states currently at this time?
Ms. Russell?
So not all states are licensed, obviously. I didn't look at other states as far as the age goes. Where we went for the licensing with 16 was that with the Department of Commerce and Insurance, cosmetology licenses are offered to 16-year-olds. And so that's why we felt that there was parity there that of 16-year-olds could be licensed professionally from the state. And I think Lovin did a very good job of kind of clearing up that it's merely a facilitator of the contract and that the contract is between the buyer and the seller. And then I appreciate Chairman Clemens' questions as well.
Thank you. And full disclosure, Ms. Russell's parents and grandparents are my neighbors. So we go way back. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. And we're going to go back into session and dispense with this bill one way or another. Back in session. Do we have any more conversation on the bill? But we will owe Chairman Clemens a confirmation because of his valid concerns with regards to this by the time we make our stop at full committee. All right, seeing no objections to calling the question when the board opens up, please register your vote. Mr. Clerk, would you call the vote?
Mr. Chairman, you have 10 ayes and 0 nays.
All righty, thank you, sir. With that, House Bill 1982 goes on to full committee.
That being done, we have a motion to adjourn. So moved. Without objection, we are adjourned.